you? How are y'all? I'm recovering from a cold, so I'm being a little slow. How are y'all? Happy Thursday. Our first lunchtime live. Usually we do these at night, so I figured we'd test out this time and see how it works for everyone. How are y'all doing? Let me double check that the audio is on. Okay, the audio is on. Perfect. Everything is on and it's live. Okay, wonderful. We are going to do something a little more nonsensical, a little, shoulder relaxing, a little what is going on, and a throwback to those of us that graduated in '09, also known as the class of '05. What a great time it was to be alive, because we are going to talk about Plies suing everyone over an old beat that honestly, I would say the best thing to come out of this lawsuit is the general nostalgia. I forgot what a great time we had back in the day, wearing business casual as a freshman in college to go out. Yeah. I look back at some of the pictures and I was like, wow, that was a choice. That peplum top, that was a choice. So we're going to get into that. And if I'm a little slower than usual, it's because I had a cold. Apparently it's going around, unfortunately. So, all right. So let us get into it. This is going to be our agenda. So Plies versus everybody, a little copyright 101, and the alleged timeline. It's interesting because the timeline that is being alleged in the lawsuit, in the complaint, leaves out a few important songs, conveniently. And then we're going to get into the recent SCOTUS copyright ruling, which is Warner Chappell Music Inc. v. Neely, which came out earlier this year, because that will answer some people's questions as why would you wait nearly 14 years later to sue about this? And we'll talk about that. And then we will get into the beats. So hopefully YouTube is okay with us playing a consecutive 5 seconds of 4 different songs of what is essentially the same beat, slowed down each time. And then we are going to get into the claims. All right. See, look, y'all are on time because I'm late. So it works out good. Lateness is the new way. Thank you. This is from, I'm trying to do a better job at this. This is from Farm Rio. I don't think I've ever worn it over here on YouTube. I wear it out all the time, which is nice. It's actually a button up, and then you can just fold it in and make it like this. So it's great. And it came with matching pants. So I love a good matching set for what it's worth. Okay. So before we get into it, a huge shout out to Patreon. Thank y'all so much for keeping the lights on over here at Allegedly Stephanie, which used to be formerly Wine and Chill. And an extra thank you to Autumn, Allison W, Allison A, David, Ed Guy, Juanita, Judy, and Robert. I need to update this, who are my Sancier tier patrons. And we are going to be doing a Patreon live stream. I just put a like an informal poll, what y'all would like to talk about over on Patreon, which is the Martha Stewart documentary and selective social climbing. Fascinating documentary. I actually recommend. Martha Stewart is a very interesting person, and she is ironically very funny, because half the things she said shouldn't be funny, but she said them with such a seriousness that I found myself laughing throughout that hour and a half. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about, unfortunately, with everything going on and what happened on election day, what does that mean in terms of job security? How is it even possible to get yourself some job security? And things I've learned as a hardworking Jamaican that has had 3 whole careers. I forgot that I've had 3 whole careers. And I've had many, many, many jobs. And I've been collecting some anecdotal as well as qualitative and quantitative data from the career experts online. So we're going to talk over, that's one of the options. And then the last option for Patreon to talk about for the next 2 weeks is maybe we'll just do some lawsuit updates. So if you are on Patreon, go ahead and let me know what y'all would like to discuss as well. And I don't think a lot of people are voting for Martha. However, because it was so fascinating, I think what might end up happening, I might do like a Martha Stewart recap and my thoughts on it on an Instagram live stream. So my Instagram is allegedly Stephanie _ and then I'll just put it on Patreon for all the tiers, because it's very, very interesting. Very interesting. So while you're here during your lunch hour, let's talk about Plies, which I usually like to start these live streams with a funny intro, and immediately now it's like, oh, Plies is suing. Let's use when Plies used to get on Beyonce's internet and call it Sweet Pea Saturday. Yes. If you are old enough, you know exactly what I'm talking about. However, all those compilations would involve a lot of bleeping out. So that wouldn't work. And half the things that man said is very comedian like, but wildly inappropriate. So we couldn't use any of that. So with that, listen, it's hard out here. We're going to talk about the economy as well. My favorite thing when music entertainers sue other music entertainers is the bringing forth of the good government names. I do appreciate a good government name, and there are some good ones in this bunch. So we have Algernon Lanier Washington, aka Plies, if you were unaware, and he is suing Gloria Hallelujah Woods, aka GloRilla, Megan Jovan Ruth Pete, aka Megan the Stallion. These are excellent names, by the way. Shout out to the parents. I love a good, solid name. Also being sued is Belcalis Marlenis Almanzar, aka Cardi B. Cardi B takes the cake, in my opinion, of great, strong names. That's a lovely name. I appreciate it. And then you have DeAndre Cortez Way, aka Soldier Boy, also being sued. And then their various record labels. So you have Universal Music Group, you have the Collective Music Group, as well as their production company, so Hot Girl Music Productions, etc. Yes, it's a good civil rights name. The things he could be doing with himself with this name, I'm just saying. Algernon. And also, one of the things I always found fascinating about Plies is I believe he graduated from FAMU. He's very Florida. As somebody who's made in Dade, he's very Florida through and through. I believe he went to FAMU and graduated as well. There are certain subsets of rappers that portray a life that is not actually equivalent to their lived experience. Some of them are coming from the burbs. And, so this is always very interesting. I believe he had a whole career before he decided to become Plies and say nasty, sweet nothings on the internet, which we all got a good kick out of, for what it's worth. Did we have any business listening to him say those things? Probably not. Probably not. All right. So Copyright 101 and the alleged timeline. So first, I'm going to go through the timeline that Plies and his legal team are alleging in the complaint, and then we're going to go through the actual factual timeline that exists in reality. So according to Plies and his legal team, on or around December 15th, 2008, wow, the early 2010s was a great time to be alive. It was a great time to be a young person. It was a great time to have hopes, dreams, and aspirations in this place. Really, the millennials, we had a good ride. We've had a rough ride, but we've had a fun ride for what it's worth. December 15th, 2008, Plies' album, The Realist, including Me and My Goons, was released through Slip and Slide Records, which I believe Slip and Slide Records is owned by Uncle Luke. Was Slip and Slide Records owned by Uncle Luke? I have to double check that if I remember correctly. Exclusively licensed to Atlantic Recording Corporation. On or about June 15th, 2009, so about a year later, the recordings and the album artwork of The Realist were duly registered with the Copyright Office by claiming Slip and Slide Records in the care of Atlantic Recording Corporation. Okay, so that is the timeline they are going with. However, it should be noted that, again, according to Plies' team, this is December 15th, 2008. Another song came out in 2008 before his song, My Goons, and that song is My Dougie by Lil Will, which this is the stamp from YouTube. Oh, hold on. Let me make it bigger. And you see here, February 22nd, 2008, it was uploaded. I'm going to play this really quick. Oh, Slip and Slide is Trick Daddy. Okay, thank you. I was like, I always forget. Which Trick Daddy has the funniest. He's such an indicative Miami man, to be honest, that in his problematicness, I'm always like, well, Trick loved the kids. He has a viral meme going around right now about, he always has viral memes because he has a radio show with Miss Pat. And, my friend sent it to me and she was like, you Miami people. And I said, yes, that is our representative, fortunately and unfortunately. All right. So this came out in 2008. Lil Will was from Dallas. I think, I'm almost positive, definitely from Texas. I think he's from Dallas. And this and him and this song is not mentioned anywhere whatsoever in the complaint. We'll actually play his song afterwards. Suffice to say, the beat is the same. He's not mentioned though. Hold on, because We have to get around YouTube and whether or not YouTube is going to allow me to play the same beat 4 times in a row later on. One of the interesting things, Lil Will was then interviewed on the Breakfast Clubs as well as other places, and he states that his song and the beat, he owns a portion of the beat. This is an example of a song split sheet. Essentially a song split sheet. Let me make me smaller so I can make sure y'all could see. Essentially on a song split sheet, many moons ago when I used to work in entertainment, I had to negotiate a few of these. They're very straightforward and to the point. You put the songwriter on there, you put the artist on there, you put the label on there. Anybody who has any ownership to the mechanical rights of the song will go on a song split sheet. And then on the right hand side, usually this can look of various multiple ways, but it's very, I would say, like, take it at face value for what it is. It's just there to show what percentage of the song do you own. Most, if not all, songs have this. However, because music is the wild, wild west, sometimes they negotiate these after the fact. I've had to negotiate some after the fact, and that is an awful idea. Fun fact, many years ago when I worked in tech in corporate, after I was like, ooh, entertainment is too much the wild, wild west, I had a friend that worked in PR and she stayed in music, and she had a roster of up and coming rapper clients. So I had 2 clients, so I had to negotiate their split sheets for them. And because I didn't want to follow instructions, that was very short lived. I was like, y'all are raising my blood pressure because I don't know why anyone is calling me, the young lawyer, at 12 a.m. at night to negotiate this when this should have got done last week. However, it's pretty straightforward, as you can see, and then everyone signs it, and then you have your paperwork to say, I own 40%, I own 20%. Usually the record label owns the most, but I'm putting that on the screen so we can see how Lil Will, who has the first recorded instance of this beat in February of 2008, how he's saying both himself as well as the producer behind the song, how they do have an agreement stating how much of the beat they own.
I own a percentage of the song and the beat.
Gotcha.
Like we're already in. Me and Nitty been talking, and doing business. That's why Nitty was able to speak on it yesterday, saying that I don't know what Plies is going after, but all of this started with.
And that's Nitty as in Nitty Beats. So now, none of this, of course, is mentioned in the original lawsuit, which was filed this year. The lawsuit, again, is naming as defendants Soulja Boy. We're going to get into the timeline alleged in the lawsuit in a second. So the lawsuit is suing Soulja Boy as well as the record labels behind him at the time, Megan Thee Stallion, GloRilla, Cardi B, and the associated production companies and record labels. There is no mention of Lil Will or Nitty Beats, which is convenient. Hold on, sir. Okay. So this is what the lawsuit then states as their timeline. To make life easy, there's no need for us to read all this because I read it for you and I distilled that down here to the timeline. So this is the actual timeline as garnered from both the lawsuit, the previous paragraphs that I showed you, as well as from my recollection, because I have good recollection. When this came out, I was like, didn't that other man have that song? I vaguely remember this junior year of high school. Like, hold on. And as from the interviews that have been going around now. So in 2008, in February, My Dougie by Lil Will gets uploaded to YouTube, as shown by that, not timestamp, but by that screenshot. You can look on YouTube and see that as well. My Goons by Plies is then made, according to the lawsuit, in December of 2008. I think their lawyer should update it. I think that song actually came out probably like June of 2008, because I remember when the song came out. However, the album didn't come out till December, so the lawsuit is saying that the song came out in December. I do think he released the song a little bit earlier, but Lil Will, My Dougie, is definitely first. And then you have, according to the lawsuit, in 2009, Plies copyrights the entire album, which includes My Goons. Then you have 2010, Pretty Boy Swag by Soulja Boy comes out. And then you have this year, 2024, Wannabe by GloRilla featuring Meg Thee Stallion comes out. And then a few months later, you have the Wannabe remix by GloRilla featuring Meg Thee Stallion and Cardi B comes out as well. Okay. So, I don't know what was supposed to be on. Where are these slides? Hold on. What's happening? Oh, there they are. Okay. So now let's listen to some of these songs. And also, one of the things that I don't know if people haven't stopped doing it, but one of the things that I miss about, being a millennial during this time, everybody was so proud of their beat, they would just yell out or say their name in the beginning so you knew who the producer was. Even if they were problematic, you knew. You're like, oh, this is Scotch Storch because he said his name. Dark Child on all of Mary J. Blige's stuff because he would say his name. Nitty Beat, you would hear him. The name was always in it. Versus now, a lot of the artists, I don't know if they've just decided that they don't want the producer saying their name, but it was something fun about it because you kind of already had a frame of reference of like, okay, my level of excitement is based off of my familiarity with this producer and with this beat. All right, so this is Lil Will's My Dougie. Actually, there's no need for me to be big. I'll be small. Hold on.
It's a Biggie beat. My Dougie, my Dougie, my Dougie, my Dougie, my Dougie.
Okay. And I'm only going to play like a couple seconds of each in the hopes that YouTube says that's fine. Then you have My Goons, which my estimate is about June 2008. The lawsuit states, again, December 2008 as the album release. I vaguely remember this because this is the summer before my senior year of high school. I vaguely remember this in the summer, so I'm going to give Plies the summer date, even though the lawyer didn't do that level of due diligence that they should have. All right. Then you have the first rapper to ever do everything, ever in this world, according to himself. You have Soulja Boy with Pretty Boy Swag, which this was a moment in time. I feel bad for the kids that all they have is TikTok dances because, first of all, those TikTok dances are too complicated. Second of all, as somebody who is very much choreographically challenged, I was also on color guard in high school, and even I was able to learn all of these dances. They were much easier to do. I don't know how the kids are picking up the TikTok dances. I really feel for them.
Soldier.
Okay, we're not gonna play too much of it, but I wish we could. And then you have Wannabe, which came out this year with GloRilla and Megan Thee Stallion. And this is a great album, by the way. Highly recommend. I thoroughly enjoyed that album. As well as the Megan Thee Stallion album, I also really enjoyed. And then just because I'm not trying to test the algorithm's patience, the Cardi B, why she's named in the lawsuit, she's on the remix to that last song. So the beat is affirmed to be the same. All right. Hold on. There are things missing. I love how this is blank. Okay, Google Slides is trying my patience. Why is this not showing up? Okay, Google Slides said you could do it from memory. So I guess that's what we're about to do. Excuse me. Why is this not? You know what? Okay, I'll leave it alone. So essentially what the lawsuit claims is that Megan Thee Stallion and GloRilla's team. It's interesting that Megan Thee Stallion Hot Girl Productions is also being sued, even though it's GloRilla's song and Megan is only featured on it. That is an interesting choice of choosing who you want to sue, as well as the recording companies. The allegation is that GloRilla's team, as well as Megan Thee Stallion's team, paid for and purchased a sample from Soulja Boy from Pretty Boy Swag, and it is credited in their song Wannabe that they are sampling Pretty Boy Swag. According to oh, you know what? Maybe this is not the updated one. Because I'm like, well, this is really going to bother me because why are all these slides missing? Okay, now we can go back and I can fix it. Okay, according to the lawsuit, Plies is suing, stating not only are Megan Thee Stallion and GloRilla and Cardi B, because she's on the remix, not only are they infringing on his beat and his song in My Goons, also Soulja Boy all those years ago, literally 14 years ago, was also infringing on his song. Which is very interesting because there was recently a case in the Supreme Court, which I'm going to put on the screen. make this bigger, which is Warner Chappell Music Inc. v. Neely. And a lot of people are wondering, why would Plies take 14 years to sue Soulja Boy if for 14 years he's known that, okay, if you're claiming that this is your beat and your song, you know Pretty Boy Swag was everywhere. In 2010, you couldn't go anywhere without hearing Pretty Boy Swag. Also, Plies has throughout the years made his way into various performances at HBCU marching bands. All the HBCU marching bands did versions of Pretty Boy Swag in 2010. It was a great time to be alive. We had a great, excellent time. You could go to Bayou Classic. I forget what the one in Florida is. I went to the one in Florida. Bayou Classic is the one in Louisiana. What was the one in Florida? I went with my friend. I can't remember right now. It was a great time. So Plies could never say like, oh, I wasn't aware that he was infringing on me. However, there are statute of limitations set on how long you have to say, hey, my copyrighted work has been infringed upon. And what happened in 2024? So earlier this year, the Supreme Court heard a case, and the case was basically trying to rectify whether or not the 3-year statute of limitations is sufficient, or if people are allowed to sue for copyright infringement that is older than 3 years. So essentially, what the court found was the Copyright Act entitles a copyright owner to obtain monetary relief for any, and this is the important part because this is written into the opinion of the Supreme Court ruling, any timely infringement claim, no matter when the infringement occurred. It never defines what timely means, but it just says that the plaintiff would have to show that it's timely. 14 years for a song that has been heard all over the world, most likely, but definitely heard in Florida, where he's from, definitely heard across the United States. It's not timely. I'm not sure his case against Soulja Boy specifically will stick. And this is outside whether or not Lil Will and Big E, who is his producer, whether or not they actually have a case. The Copyright Act statute of limitation provision establishes a 3-year period for filing copyright infringement suits, which begins to run when the claim accrues. The case assumes that a copyright claim accrues upon discovery of the infringement, the discovery rule. It's been 14 years. He discovered Soulja Boy Swag probably 14 years ago. It was everywhere. It's still, it had a great run too. I would say probably all the way until I graduated college in 2013, it was still being played everywhere. And now it's like a great throwback that gets played every once in a while, rather than when the infringement occurred. Although the court has not definitively resolved which rules apply, if a plaintiff has a timely, again, back to timely, claim under the discovery rule, the Act's remedial provisions do not impose any separate time limit on the recovery of damages. Those provisions state without qualification that an infringer is liable for either statutory damages or the owner's actual damages and the infringer's profits. And it's interesting that people are having this conversation now of whether, because Lil Will did state this, as well as his producer, which is Big E, Nitty Beats, where he has done interviews now and stated, oh yeah, we decided here, there's a quote from him on The Breakfast Club, which unfortunately, from a legal perspective, he should have never said this, where Lil Will states, oh, we heard Soulja Boy's song and we decided we were not going to sue at the time in 2010, which means if Lil Will and Nitty Beats wanted to have a separate lawsuit, your co-plaintiff has already stated that you, under the discovery rule, you discovered the infringement, the song was everywhere, and you decided like, I'm not bothered. That's a problem. The other interesting thing that's currently going on is, according to the lawsuit, because I haven't seen a response to the complaint yet from Megan's team or Soulja Boy's team or GloRilla's team, I think Cardi B will probably get removed from the lawsuit since she's on the remix. I think Megan Thee Stallion will also get removed from the lawsuit. I think Plies' team put her on the lawsuit for more so they think that there's money there because they specifically sued Hot Girl Productions as well. So I think they're trying to go after where they think the money is. Including Cardi B is not particularly helpful since she's just on the remix. Where was I going with this? Sorry. But basically one of the things, hold on. I lost my train of thought. One of the things that is interesting is since Plies is going after them in a suit claiming that, this is where I was going with it. Sorry, I'm recovering from a cold. That since he is suing Soulja Boy, Megan Thee Stallion, GloRilla, and Cardi B, as well as the surrounding record labels and production companies around those four as well, so far, Plies' contention is that not only is it his beat, that he copyrighted the beat by copywriting the entirety of the album in December in the following year in 2009. So let me go back to the lawsuit where we have the timeline that I wrote out. So June 15th, 2009. Now, the way that copyright works is you do not have to file something with the Copyright Office for you to have a copyright. This, for example, this is a recording. This is original. These are my own thoughts. You're seeing a visual, and then you're also seeing audio, etc. The minute I do the live stream, this is copyrighted. However, if I wanted to do paperwork, and I just really believed in paperwork, I could go file a copyright for whatever I titled this live stream with the Copyright Office. Essentially, filing a copyright with the Copyright Office, it gives you a timestamp. It gives you a timestamp to say, like, see, I told you it was mine. However, because Lil Will, and by inclusion, Nitty Beats, because he made the beat, they have a timestamp as well. Their timestamp when they uploaded to...
It's a biggie.
Don't play this again. Is uploaded it to YouTube is February 22nd, 2008. That timestamp predates what is stated in the lawsuit because the lawsuit says June of 2009. It will be interesting to see how far this case goes and to see if there are countersuits because currently Lil Will and Nitty Beats are not parties to this lawsuit. They would have to go out of their way and file a separate lawsuit. A judge would then decide if they want to have these seen together or if they want these lawsuits to continue separately because they are not parties to the suit. There would be no reason for them to be in this suit currently. It is interesting timing, I would say, in terms of why sue now. And the answer is probably because Megan Thee Stallion and GloRilla's album is doing so well. I forget who she's signed to currently, but there is deep pockets there in terms of suing the record label. That's really who they want to sue is the record label, has the deepest pockets and, getting a piece of that pie. But can you sue for something that you do not technically own? The answer is no. Can you get a settlement and try to push an issue with a corporation because the corporation doesn't want to be bothered with it? Yeah, you could. However, because the music industry right now is in such a level of, decay is not the right word, but the money is very funny in the music industry, whereas there used to be more money to be made. Now, most artists, unfortunately, they don't even make money off of the actual streams. The streamers are paying them nothing, etc. The bet on Plies team's end is this worth it for the record labels to fight with Plies about this and spend money on legal fees, or is it cheaper in the long run to just be like, you know what, whatever, go away. Here's a settlement. We are giving you X amount of money and don't bring this up again. That would be a separate issue from whether Lil Will and Nitty Beats decide like, actually, it's my song. So let me go do the same thing over and let me go get all of my money, which will be interesting to see if they actually sue. All right. Now that I have all the slides up. Ooh. Hold on. Oh no, it's so good. Hopefully it doesn't play any of the music. Let me make sure. Let me press it fast. Okay, cool. So these are the three claims. You have copyright infringement against all of the defendants. Then you have contributory copyright infringement and then vicarious copyright infringement. I do think, can y'all hear me? I accidentally muted myself. I do think that because it has been 14 years since Pretty Boy Swag came out, and because there is no logical way to say with a straight face that Plies has never heard that song, I don't think that a court is going to allow him to sue for copyright infringement against Soulja Boy and the related record labels associated with Soulja Boy in the lawsuit. Because again, it says in the Supreme Court case that came out earlier this year, timely. 14 years is not timely. I'm late. You know, I'm not the timeliest person. But 14 years, I'm not 14 years late. Maybe 30 minutes, you know, something reasonable. Yeah, I don't think so. I think the lawsuit against GloRilla and Megan Thee Stallion, maybe. I think that might be kept. However, a defense on GloRilla's team is going to put forth, well, you're actually not the copyright holder. We went to who we thought was the copyright holder in good faith, which was Soulja Boy. And actually, we realized, you know what? If he's not the copyright holder, neither are you. The real copyright holder is the other person. So this is just going to turn into how much do the legal fees cost versus how much does it cost to pay him out. And that's how this is going to end up, for what it's worth. So yeah, that was quick, but a good trip down memory lane to what was some great music, for what it's worth. But let us go through some of these comments. All right. Thank you, We Catalyst. Oh, this is interesting. Nitty Beat first used his own beat on the song Don't Blow My High by A Damn Shame Group in 2006. Jay Nolan played that whole song on YouTube. He said he did his research and wasn't copyright claimed. Interesting. I don't know that song by name. I'm trying to think. It does sound vaguely familiar. I bet if I played it, I probably know it. However, I don't have a good track record with the copyright algorithm. The copyright algorithm has gotten me for the pettiest things, and I can count them because every time it happens, I'm like, really? The copyright algorithm got me one time because I did a video on Naomi Osaka, and I think it was like the racism in tennis. I played 5 seconds. 5 seconds of, I think Tennis TV is the broadcast channel, got copyright claim. It was an hour-long live stream. So I'm always very like, all right. Yes, Jazzy Faye. Yeah, that was a good one. It was a good time. So I appreciate the fact that we've gotten to go down memory lane. So thank you for that. However, you know, I would like to see more albums like GloRilla's doing great homages with the samples, because there's excellent samples. Also, Megan Thee Stallion's album as well had great samples in it too. It was lighthearted. Sorry, I gotta do some water. Yeah, that was a debacle. Also, it should be noted, one of the cases that people are always surprised about is the Blurred Line case, which was the estate of Marvin Gaye versus Pharrell and Robin Thicke, in which the estate of Marvin Gaye won. And it was such a small use of the sample. So in terms of whether or not the beats are the same, that's really not the question here. Like, the beats are the same, they've used the same, but the question is really like, whose beat is this even? And sir, did you tell the lawyer, who maybe is not familiar with the great beats of, you know, the early 2010s, 2008 era, that you actually weren't the first one? Because I'm sure the lawyer is sitting there like, wow, you really came to my office. You really sat here. You really sold me this story. And here you are doing this. Great. Yeah. I love Prince's that shady interview he did where he said, I don't sample, I make music. I personally love a good sample, but yes. Buttercup, this is kind of a prime example of Prince saying the industry is too many samples and the samplers will samples of the samples. Yes. I'm sure Prince, you know, is in his purple heaven in the sky being like, see, I told y'all what y'all are doing. And he was telling the truth. Because now we're here. It's also interesting because if I remember correctly, like, this is back like in the height of LimeWire, when you could really ruin a home computer that your parents had saved all their money to afford. Not that I ruined our home computer. I figured out how to fix this somehow. It worked, but it did crash a few times, burning CDs for my friends. That was a really great act of friendship, by the way. If your friend burned you a CD, they really loved you. If they didn't, yeah. And wrote the playlist out in Sharpie, that was deep love. One of the things that I'm so curious of now that we have the samples of the samples of the samples on LimeWire, and one of the arguments that's happening now, LimeWire used to like let you play around with beats. So people are now arguing like, hey, was this just one of those like box music that just came from like what you could get online, like these online synthesizers, which the argument has been like, no, this beat was made by Nitty Beats for me. So, which is really interesting. So yeah. Oh, what a great time to be alive. Do they even sell CDs anymore? When you had a Walkman? Oh, I miss a Walkman. A Walkman was great. I had a blue Walkman. She lasted a long time. I have some of the burned CDs at my dad's house. I need to find a CD player and see if they actually still work. Listen, LimeWire was a copyright lawyer's worst nightmare. It was like you have a generation of children just pirating and just stealing and theft. Just like, oh, sorry, I don't know. I don't even know who told us what LimeWire was. I don't know how any of that occurred, but I sure did download it. I sure did figure out how to use it. So I do enjoy a good sample. I will say there are some great samples on YouTube where they give credit, like of course, like to the original artist, but there are like sample mixes now, especially some really good ones of Beyonce. I like work out to them sometimes where they're like 7-minute long songs and they'll put together songs that you didn't even think of. And it's very beautifully done. It's very beautifully done. And I'm always of the mindset, like, okay, as long as you pay the people and you got permission, then it's fine. What came out, I think we covered this a couple years ago because some people rightfully don't want their music sampled. Tracy Chapman is one such artist where she's like, I don't give a damn. Please don't sample my music. Like, I don't know what y'all are doing. She has changed her mind since. She did let Jelly Roll cover her song. He did do a beautiful job with it. Her song is obviously, the original is better. But I think sticking to like making sure that the original artists, that they are allowed to keep their artwork and their integrity. One thing I am seeing, which just to dovetail the conversation since we're already chatting, that I would say from a lover of music standpoint, also a legal standpoint that I think people should think about as well, is the access to AI now, and then people just taking people's music and then putting it through like these AI filters to spit out whatever, which came out this earlier this year, might have been last year, I can't remember, where it was funny to like do people thought it was funny to do mashups with other people's voices. Drake is a wretch, so like I don't really feel bad for him, but people were like doing it with Drake, doing it with like other artists, etc. I think with the advent of AI, we're gonna see a nefarious nature to it, which is very unfortunate. Versus LimeWire was like, oh, you know, we're 14, child. I'm sorry. We're 14 and I don't got money for the CD today. I would like to know, one of the interesting things, at least from what I remember, was people used to burn the CDs so that way we could have mixes of the CDs, but then we would still actually buy the CD. I had to beg my dad to buy me, what was that TLC album that had, was it called Silly Ho, or it had Silly Ho on it? And he's like, this is not appropriate for children. And I was like, please, I won't listen to that song. What was the name of that album? Was the album called Silly Ho? I can't remember. But I remember I put that on a few, I put various parts of that on like some mixtapes I had made my friends after I had to beg for the damn album. Fan Mail was the name of the album. Okay, thank you. I was like, I couldn't remember. But yeah, so it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. Silly Ho was a great song too, you know. After I had it for like a year, then I was like, well, I've already had it. Can I listen to the song now? Sorry, Dad. Many years have passed. It's fine. But yes. All right. Well, on that note, I guess we will see what, you know, becomes of this. I'm not sure if this will settle. Only because I think with all the messiness around who actually owns the beat, I think the record labels do have enough money to fight Plies on it. I don't think it's going to be as easy of a like, look, just give me my money and I'll leave you alone type of situation. Well, we'll see. They might do the math and be like, actually, it's not worth the fight with you, but it's going to be very, very interesting. All right. I'm just looking through these comments. All right. Well, let me know if what other cases y'all want to cover. We are going to cover, I started doing the research for it. We haven't done an edited video. I haven't done an edited video in a long time for YouTube. So I wanted to do one. Going to cover the Malcolm X estate and the Shabazz family lawsuit against the CIA, the FBI, the NYPD, rightfully so, regarding his murder. So we're going to cover that. I think today's Thursday. If I can finish the research, it should come out hopefully next week. I think that will be interesting in terms of if the election had ended differently, for what it's worth, I think that case would have a different outcome than it's going to have. Because there is precedent. MLK's family, for context, sued the government and won, saying that the government was partially liable, if not fully liable, for his assassination. Because unfortunately, Cheeto has weaponized our court system, I think that is going to make that case a prolonged case. However, it is 100% worth the fight. I think particularly you're going to see a lot more coverage of the case because right now we are currently watching Black history itself be attacked. It is a fact what happened to him. It is very documented what happened to him. So all of that, one of the things that case will allow is during discovery, all of that now will become public record in one public record, which is a great service to people. So that way everything is in one place, because currently right now, what his family has been collecting for years, and Ben Crump is the lawyer who is in charge, his law firm is leading that lawsuit. That information has been available with various government agencies. However, the government itself has not allowed his family to get access to that information over the various decades. So this case will finally bring all that information to light, have all that information available to the general public, and then hopefully get the media attention it deserves, because without the preservation of history, particularly during the foolishness that is going to occur, unfortunately, starting January 20th, which the fact that the inauguration is on MLK Day really grinds my gears. That's wild. It's rude. I think this case is going to become even more so important of like, hey, look at all the things that we had and we did together that we can still have and we can still do. And actually, we're now going to have to refight for some of the things that were passed in the Civil Rights Act that have essentially been gutted in the past decade and a half. So we're going to cover that. And yeah, appreciate y'all. But yeah, I'm trying to figure out with the video, I want it to be long, but not too long. So to give you all the legal aspects, but to give a good focused aspect on what COINTELPRO is. Because Black history is not taught in school, people really will gaslight you about how awful in the lengths the government went to in the 60s and 70s to be like, y'all are organizing? Absolutely not. And the amount of domestic terrorism that the government conducted on Black people in this country. So we will talk about that. So on that note, if there are any other lawsuits or cases y'all want to talk about, let me know. We will probably early next year, maybe cover the Diddy trial. Ingesting all of that information is very hard to sit with. It's very disturbing. And I say that every time that we come, I'm like, it's very disturbing. But yes, so we might talk about that. But anything else other than that, let me know. I'm of the mindset that with all of these wild cabinet appointments, that I'm just gonna take a deep breath and then come January, have renewed energy, and we could fight against that. Because Matt Gaetz and that botched face as U.S. Attorney General, when he literally has a Department of Justice investigation into him for being an alleged PDF file. Child. Disrespectful. Foolishness. It's foolishness. So we will slowly get back into the politics of it all as well earlier in the new year. You know, build up some resistance to it in the next like month and a half and then cover that as well. So I will see y'all later. And thank you again, Buttercup, for the super chat. I know I read it out. I don't know if I said thank you, so sorry. Thank you for the super chat. I appreciate you. And hopefully the algorithm said it's fine that we only played 4 consecutive 5-second clips of what is objectively a very fun beat that is being argued over right now. So, oh, he did. Is that true, Kirsten? Oh, I didn't. Let me Google it. Let me see. Let's see. Oh, wonderful. Great news. Okay, I feel better. Thank you. You have made my day. Okay, I take it back. If you just watched and you're like, Stephanie, you're not up to date. This happened an hour ago. Yes. Matt Gaetz has withdrew from nomination. I don't believe that he would have passed because people rightfully go through questioning for confirmation would have literally just been like, because they're trying to allow his investigation, his file to be made public, which because he is an alleged file himself, he does not want public. So wonderful. Okay, that makes me happy. Thank you, Kirsten. I appreciate that. Matt Gaetz. Yeah. Look into him at caution. Thank you, Robert. Appreciate you. Yes, I'm excited for us to cover the Malcolm X lawsuit. I think maybe we'll cover it in phases. So we'll do like complaint first, and then as I'm hopeful that it actually goes to trial, because trial will do so much better than it privately settling, because a trial would force America to see all of the awful things that this government has done to Black people. Shamelessly done and continues to do. So I'm hopeful that that case actually goes to trial. So we will see. All right. So now I'll leave y'all after saying bye for 10 minutes like a certified millennial auntie. And I'm going to go play these songs since we have, dredged up wonderfully the early 2010s. And I'm going to play these songs now once we get off of this. All right. So I appreciate y'all. I hope y'all have a lovely today's Thursday. Yeah. Almost weekend, and stay safe out here. And next week, if your family's in town, take a deep breath. And also, if you have family that chose to do stupidity, cuss them out. They deserve that. I said what I said. All right. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye.